So this is a Central Machinery 18-pound metal vibratory bowl, otherwise known as a tumbler. This is from Harbor Freight. It was bought in store along with the jug of media there. I believe it was $184.99 and the 5-pound bottle of media was $24.99, I think. So it's about $210 for these two items here. Now Harbor Freight usually carries two different types of these in store. This one, like I said, is 18-pound, and then they have a 5-pound, and I think that pound rating is how much weight in tumbler media you can fit inside of the container here. So this is the larger one of the two. And then I do have this jug of tumbler media. It's 5 pounds, and it's made out of some sort of abrasive resin. So it's supposed to be able to pretty much clean up rust or whatever without harming like threads on bolts. Anything that's, you otherwise wouldn't want to be hard on to deform it or anything. So I am actually pretty excited to see if this thing works or not. Although the other one, the 5-pound machine, this jug would basically fill up the capacity of that machine, whereas this jug is only going to get this machine less than a quarter full. So hopefully there's enough. I can give it a test, but I'm gonna get this thing unboxed and check it out. It's not too terribly heavy, by the way. Definitely things from Harbor Freight that are heavier than that. Wow, this thing's kind of big. Manual, that's it. Oh, this thing fell out, whatever that is. This thing's big. See what all the parts are that it came with. Not sure what these are. I'll have to read up on that, but I think if you don't use dry media and you do like a wet polishing or wet cleaning, I think that's the drain thingy, and then that's what this is for, I think, which this actually isn't even mine. I'm just unboxing it and giving it a try because I was curious about it. So I don't know if this is ever going to be used with any type of fluids or not, but honestly it's a good alternative to like getting an ultrasonic cleaner and using chemicals and water and all that. I better look at the directions here, see what I'm working with. I don't know what these are for right here. I figured maybe they were for the feet, but they're not. There's already rubber pieces underneath, which is good because if this thing vibrates, you definitely want a rubber buffer between this and your surface. I guess resin is a type of plastic, according to this. So it says to fill this thing 2/3 full, which is 66% with media, and then add whatever you need to clean, and then add more media as needed, up to 18 pounds in this. Not having enough media in vibratory bowl could damage parts being tumbled, so that's something to know, which is weird. I don't know how you would damage parts in here by not having enough media. It's just plastic. It's not like your bolt is gonna get all messed up by hitting the plastic. Huh. Clamping nut, this thingy, which I'm gonna leave on there because this isn't mine. Set that there. Yeah, let's just take a better look at this thing. Got a 3-prong power cord on-off switch. Can't get any easier than that. I'm really curious how loud this thing is. The 5-pound unit actually has visible springs on it. I wonder if this thing has something on the inside that makes it vibrate or whatever. Alright, well, I still don't know what these are for. Okay, I got 4 of these. No idea. Alright, well, I guess we'll just proceed with caution. That's what this stuff looks like. This is resin, which these are actually prisms. Resin, I think, is a byproduct of like plastic or crude oil or something like that. It's abrasive, but it's not, it's softer than metal, so. Kind of a cool bottle, actually. That's pretty heavy duty. I'm not gonna throw that. Smells weird. Kind of smells like a new car. I think that media is kind of expensive. I wonder how long it lasts. You wouldn't want to be switching that out all the time. Alright, I think I'm just gonna try this thing because I have no idea what these are for. I can't find anything in here that says anything about it. But yeah, and then there's a rubber gasket that goes on this. That's kind of already fallen off on me. That's kind of annoying. If every time you take this lid off, this gasket's gonna fall off with it. See, it's already fallen off. Wow, that's a pain. Anyway, I'll get that on. That's what the inside looks like. Like I said, it's only about a quarter full, maybe less than a quarter, because this is only 5 pounds of media. But I guess it all depends on how big the item is that you're gonna put in there. Now, I recently took this steering gear out of one of my Case garden tractors, and it has bad teeth on it. And just, I don't know why, but I was wire brushing this by hand and spraying it with degreaser and stuff. Because I want to hold on to this. Even though it's junk, I want to hold on to this and I want to clean it up because it's greasy. And anyway, I thought this would be a perfect... I was thinking about getting an ultrasonic cleaner to put this in, or parts like this, and to clean them. But this is a perfect thing because it's already junk, so I can't ruin it. So... obviously, the more media you have in here, probably the better. I'll monitor it and see what's going on. Oh, forgot. Let's do a before. And then we'll do an after. You know what? I wonder if this thing goes on here. I wonder if you even have to use this thing. If you're not using any fluids or anything and it's dry media, I wonder if you even have to have that on. Ah! I wonder if this thing isn't for this. Yeah, that's what that is. It's the same part. This isn't for tubing, and this is that little edge on the tip of this piece is what keeps this thing in. That's what that is. I wonder if these go bad a lot. Why'd they give 4 extra ones? Weird. Put this thing on. Okay. Okay, it is off. I'm gonna turn this thing on and then read the instructions on how long to let it go. You know, it really doesn't shake that bad, and I think I built this bench pretty well, so nothing's rattling, but just for this experiment, I'm gonna set this on the concrete because I don't want to listen to it. Just out of curiosity, I'm gonna open this up, look inside. I want to make sure that if I have to get more media that I do that, because like I said, this isn't mine, so I don't want to wear a hole in the side of this bowl. Even though I'm sure Harbor Freight would replace it, even for misuse. But I don't want to abuse Harbor Freight's policies. This thing would be a lot more quiet. I think I need more media. It actually is starting to take off. It's kind of a big piece to test too. Man, I'd really like to get more media for that. This is my brother's unit, so I don't want to break his $185 tumbler. So I'm gonna go get some more media. All right. Just got back, got 2 more 5-pound jugs of media. So I guess if there's any downside to this thing, it's that the media is kind of expensive. I bet you this lasts a long time though. So I got 10 pounds in so far. Still plenty of room. I love these blue jugs that you get. I could think of a million things to do with that. So I'm keeping them. All right. Tell you one thing, this gasket's driving me nuts. I get it. You don't want anything coming out, or if you're using some sort of cleaning agent or something, doing a wet polish, you don't want nothing leaking, but still, it's going to be a pain to mess with that every single time that you want to take the lid off. Actually, you know what? I'll just show you here. So this is 15 pounds of resin, and that right there is my steering gear. I guess I really didn't look in the directions to see how big of items you're supposed to put in this, but I would assume if it fits, you know, you can use it or clean it or whatever. But anyway, 15 pounds. This is an 18-pound capacity unit. Anyway, what's that? That's a big old... So now this thing should do probably a better job. See what happens. So this is kind of funny. This hose that is literally meant for like draining fluids or whatever has little tiny pieces of media coming out, and you can pinch it. So I'm going to pinch this hose so I don't have media coming out of that hose. That's kind of goofy. Honestly, it's really not that loud. You could probably run one of these in your basement pretty comfortably. It's not as loud as my diesel heater or my little air compressor. So I'm gonna let this thing go for 10 minutes and then I'll open it up and look. I ended up having this thing tumbling for over an hour. I didn't really pay much attention to it, so much for science. This little tube is weird because it just fills up with tiny, like I don't know if you're supposed to let that powder fall out. As if that's like a way to get all the small crap out. I have no idea. Oh, I broke it. So much for that. Anyway, so I might need to look at the directions more, see whether or not you're supposed to let the dust fall out of this tube. The only thing I read in here about that tube was, it said if a lubricant is used, place a suitable container beneath overflow hose to catch any drain fluids. Doesn't say anything about powder. The only thing it mentions about that tube in here is letting fluids come out of it, so I don't know. But anyway, I also read that it has a thing about your media that you use and what you're doing. So there's like degreasing, removing rust, and polishing, which I think 80% of the time anyone would probably use this to remove rust, which at the same time you do that, you also end up degreasing stuff. Anyway, it said to remove rust, use plastic media, which is what it has in it, 2 to 6 hours. So that's why I went past my original 10-minute test because I wanted to give it at least a halfway decent amount of time. So I'm curious what it did in the last hour or so. I'm either going to be really impressed or nothing is going to be different. Wow, it's dusty. All the orange paint is almost off. I guess the whole point of this is so you don't have to use a wire brush, but it's definitely dusty. I think compressed air would probably be a better option for this in a place that you don't care if it gets dusty. Anyway, that really does look much better. See if I can't get any of this powder off. Yeah, so it's not terrible. So I am relatively impressed that in the somewhat short amount of time that this was running, it really did get a lot of that. It got all the grease off for sure, and then got most of the orange paint off of this side and this side pretty much as well. The only part was on the edges right here, and I wonder if you set this, you know, horizontally, right? And you got media underneath of it, media on top of it, and it's vibrating. So it's going to the bottom of the bowl, working its way back up, and then going down again. So I think if you wanted to really get this paint off, it should be set in there vertically like that, because then the media will vibrate downwards and hit this paint off on its way down. In theory, right? Same thing with the teeth. And I guess the whole kind of sales pitch on these tumblers is that it literally says somewhere, it says that it'll take rust off of bolts without hurting the threads. So a bolt like this, in theory, you know, you should be able to clean it up without affecting the threads at all. The downside to that is you can't use strong abrasives. So in this case, it's plastic, it's resin. So it's going to take a lot more time to get things clean. Whereas a really, really abrasive, or you know, an extremely abrasive material will do the job faster, but could mess up the threads. So I guess the whole thing with this is you got to give it time. You can't force it. Either way, it's pretty cool. I mean, honestly, nothing's easier than throwing crap in there and turning it on and walking away and watching the game, you know. Let this thing do the work for you. But surprisingly, the directions really don't have much in it. So, I don't know, kind of weird. It does tell you, though, certain things not to do, like not using ceramic media. Like I said earlier in the video, if you don't have enough media, your piece can actually either get hurt itself by hitting the side of the plastic bowl, or things like this could vibrate into the side of the housing and damage the housing. So, and the way it vibrates, I mean, I understand that. This is probably a 1 or 2 pound steering gear made out of iron, so in theory, if you gave it enough time, it could probably destroy the side of the bowl here. It's incredibly dusty. That's one thing I guess I didn't even think about, because as you clean whatever piece you have in there, it also destroys this media at the same time. It's grinding the media down into a fine powder. The one crappy thing about this type of media, this resin, is that I put 3 5-gallon jugs in this, $75 worth of media. So if I were you, I'd keep that in mind, because this was a $185 tumbler and $75 worth of media. So you're looking at, what, $260 setup right here between the media and the tumbler. So I'm not saying it's bad or anything, it's just keep that in mind because it's expensive. So I am definitely going to keep these tumbler jugs, not only because they're cool, But if for some reason you had to switch media, I bet you could probably take the resin stuff out, put it back in these jugs. And then it did mention a few, like you can get ground corn cobs and walnut shells. How weird is that? That's a natural way to clean up material. It says do not use this tumbler to polish stones similar to like an actual rock tumbler. Don't do that. Don't exceed 18 pounds tank capacity. So that's not 18 pounds of media, that's 18 pounds total between the media and your piece. So I had 15 pounds of media in there and a 2-pound steering gear, give or take. So really I was almost at full capacity according to these directions. Pretty cool. So that's one way to clean up material. And then in a later video, I'm thinking about getting a ultrasonic cleaner off of the internet. Not Harbor Freight has them, but I think they only have like a 3-liter and an even smaller one, something like that. I would like to get a big ultrasonic cleaner, and that uses obviously cleaning agents and fluids and water and 2 different ways to clean up material. So dry and wet. But anyways, I think I'm pretty much done trying this thing out. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna put it all back together here and give it back to its rightful owner. If anyone's interested in this, I'd definitely give it a shot. Heck, I'd even be interested in the 5-pound unit, which is definitely way smaller than this, but it's still pretty cool. You just want to make sure it's big enough because whatever kind of parts you work with that you'd want to clean up, you'd want to make sure it fits in here. If anybody has any questions or anything, be sure to let me know. I do recommend this unit, so give it a try. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.